Are you trying to find out how to be more productive in a day? If so, I'm going to show you how the most productive, successful people write a powerful to-do list. What's going on, guys? It's Josiah, your success consultant, and in today's video, I'm going to go over something that you've never been taught. This is extremely critical, okay? How do the most productive people write a to-do list? I know you're thinking, man, this sounds so elementary. Isn't a to-do list super basic? All I gotta do is just write something like super simple on my to-do list, and then I just go out and do it. Why do I need to watch a video about writing a to-do list? Well, I gotta share a little secret with you. A lot of things that we've been taught growing up, learning in school about how to be successful, it doesn't really make that big of a difference in the real world. We haven't been taught how to be able to thrive. There are things that people in this world know that we've never been taught about how to get ahead. And one of those things has to deal with how to properly write a to-do list. I don't know if you've ever recognized this, but there's actually a proper way to learn. There's a proper way to take notes. There's a proper way to do many basic things that we take for granted every single day, but if we actually learn the right way on how to do it, we'd be able to get stuff done a hell of a lot faster. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the most productive way to set up a to-do list. So let's take the approach that you might be taking right now, right? You just take something that's on your mind, whatever's at the top of your brain, and you might write it down on any sheet of paper. But if you write it down, this is probably how it looks, right? So I'm going to draw this little basic illustration of what your current to-do list may look like. So let's pretend right now, right, that you got a project that you're working on. Here's how you will put this on your to-do list. You'll say, work on project. This is the worst way that you can ever write something down on a to-do list, and I'm going to tell you the exact reason why. One of my mentors always used to tell me, clarity precedes mastery. If you don't know what the target looks like, how are you going to hit it? And so when you put things on a to-do list that is extremely vague, is extremely ambiguous, it doesn't have any clearly defined end, it's going to be hard for you to be as productive as you can be in that area. Why? Because you're not setting a clear target. This means absolutely nothing. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to take every task or every project and break it down into small steps. Here's the reason why. Our brains are just like a computer. That's what computers are based around. If you don't know, our brains are more powerful than any supercomputer in the world. And when you think about a computer, right? You got a lot of different programs that are open at the time. You're checking out this, you're checking out that, you're checking out that. What it does is when you have more memory that's being taken up on your computer, it slows your system down. It slows down the processing time of that computer to the point where your computer doesn't even perform at the same pace that it used to. That's how your mind works when everything is clogged up here. What you really need to do is you need to take everything out of here and you need to put it on here. And that's the exact reason why you don't want to be able to put just something as vague as work on project on paper, because this doesn't relieve your mind of what actually needs to get done. So what are you going to do in working on the project? Are you going to write a few pages? Are you going to make some phone calls? Are you going to be buying some materials? What does it consist of? And a lot of the best teachings that I've ever found on this subject comes from a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. One of the main things that he tells you to do in that book is whenever you're working on a project, right? And a project could be regarded as anything that has more than one task associated with it. Okay? So let's say, for example, that your project is starting a business. Okay? If you have, work on business on here, again, it's super vague. Instead, what you may want to be able to do is write down all of the different sub-steps that goes into building this business, and then have your little checklist that shows what you need to be working on and when. Okay? So I'll give you a prime example. Let's say that on any given day, you could be, something basic. Create one post on Facebook. Create one post on Facebook. I'm just abbreviating with this FB, right? Create one post on Facebook. Pay employees. Right? There could be different sub-items that goes into the task or the project of building your business that you need to start putting down on paper. And the more clear you can get about that, the better. So that way your brain isn't clogged up. Here's one thing about the brain that you really may not understand. Your brain is not wired to be able to hold in all of the tasks and all of the responsibilities that you have to do, because your memory doesn't work at that type of a storage system, right? There may be things that you remember long term, and there may be certain things that you think about here and certain things that you think about there. But have you ever noticed that if you got a lot of things to do and you got a lot of commitments to honor, you got a lot of places to be, a lot of projects to work on, a lot of places to go, without having any of it written down, don't you notice how you always will feel overwhelmed? Well, part of the reason why you feel overwhelmed is not simply because of the fact that there's a lot going on, because there's always going to be a lot going on in the world. One of the main reasons why you feel overwhelmed is because of the fact that you're storing everything in your mind and your brain is becoming cluttered. Your memory is being taken up. So what you want to be able to do is you want to take everything that's in your mind, and for the most part, you want to be able to dump it on paper. Okay? So here, like even when it comes to paying the employees, if you run a small business, okay, how much are you going to pay the employees? What employees are you going to pay? Are you going to pay all of your employees? Clarity precedes mastery. Don't just say you're going to work on a project. Don't just say that you're going to work on a task. What is the actual task? If you go to, like, let's say this, right? Here's another one. Get groceries. This is another common one that people do. So people will put on a to-do list, get groceries, but then you go to the grocery store without a list. So what happens? You go and get the groceries, and yes, you did that. You're in the grocery store, but as you're in the grocery store and you got 20 items to get, what ends up happening? You take so much longer maneuvering through the grocery store because you're trying to remember everything that you had to get right there in the moment. You don't think about, oh, well, I should have wrote this checklist that I could just look at on a sheet of paper. I could have seen exactly, step by step, get milk, get this, get that, get that. Because if you had that, you could go through the store without a breeze. You'd be able to know, okay, all of the stuff that's on this side of the store, I'm going and get it here. All the stuff that's on this side of the store, I'm going and get it there. Not only would it slow down your time maneuvering through the grocery store and not having a list, guess what else also happens? You tend to forget stuff that you were supposed to get, right? All because of the fact that you made this entirely too vague. So what I would do in a situation like this is, if you know that, okay, I got to go and get groceries, write down the groceries that you need to get. And like I said, one of the best tools that I personally use for this is Evernote. Why? Because I could be on my laptop and I could be typing in notes on Evernote, but then it syncs to my smartphone. So I don't have to write a new list when I'm going to the grocery store. I could just write on my to-do list the things that I needed to get from the grocery store. And guess what? I show up at the grocery store, I pull out my phone, and there it is. All of the items that I needed, and I didn't have to duplicate any process. I didn't have to take more time going from one list to another list and keep up with this and keeping up with that. The internet has made this process for you really simple. All you got to be able to do is just take the time, think it through clearly, and jot it down. What is the actual outcome of what specifically you've got to do? Don't talk vague. Be as clear and direct as possible per task that you are working on. Okay? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to keep it basic for you guys on this video. I hope that this has been very edifying. I hope that this has been something that you can start actually doing today to improve your life. Give it a shot. Go 7 days. Brain dump. Put it all out on paper and see if that gives you more peace of mind. See if you're not more relaxed because of the fact that your brain is not always in overdrive, having to constantly worry about what thing you have to do, but you might have forgot, right? So you ever been someplace, you're working on something, and then you're like, oh, dang, I forgot I was supposed to do this. You ever working on something else, and you're like, man, damn, I forgot that I was supposed to do that. Your brain is always going to bounce around if it doesn't have a system of record that it could look at and say, this is what you're supposed to do. Here's when you're supposed to do this. Here's where you're supposed to do that. When your mind has this in place, your brain gets to sleep a lot easier because it knows that it can be at peace without worrying about trying to retain critical information. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. If you've already subscribed, share it with a friend. Be your brother's keeper. This is so important for our success because your success is the product of how you use the 24 hours that God gave you in a day. I'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care.